Hello girls, gays, and non-binary babes. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about all of the books that I read in November. Little tangent, yes, my hair is different. I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but it is like a purplish. It was not supposed to be purplish, it was supposed to be brown with like a hint of burgundy, but it's like pretty much straight up burgundy. But yeah, we're rolling with it. It is what it is. I'm not mad. It is what it is. But yeah, if you're new here, you don't care, and I understand that. So my apologies. But yeah, let's just talk about what I read in November. I had a really good reading month this month. I actually read a lot from the library, so you will be seeing a lot of books thrown up in a picture form next to me rather than me having a physical copy. But I did have a really good reading month, so I'm very excited to talk about everything, and yeah, let's just jump on into it. The first book that I read was one I've been wanting to read for so long, and that is The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I knew I was gonna like it when I read The Hollow Places and really loved that one, and then I knew going into this one that it had a fucked up deer in it, and I love a good fucked up deer, so I knew I was gonna really like this one, and sure enough, I did. I think the story was so creepy and weird. This is one of the few books that has actually like scared me. It's really hard to actually like instill fear in me when I'm reading, and this book definitely did that. So yeah, I really like this one, and if you're looking for a good spooky book, then yeah, this one's really good. Next up, I read my very first Agatha Christie book, and that was And Then There Were None, of course, probably one of the most popular ones, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. I was not expecting to like it this much, honestly. I don't normally do mysteries or thrillers with a mystery kind of plot, and everybody knows Agatha Christie is a mystery writer, and I wasn't really expecting to read it or to like it, but when I read it, I was so surprised. I really enjoyed it. It felt like I was watching a movie when I was reading it. Like, it felt like it was what's it called? Like a script for a movie, but it wasn't, and it was really good, and like I could see everything vividly happening and all of that, and I might read more of her work. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. The next 2 books I read were part of a series that was gifted to me by Savvy from Savvy Reads Books on Twitter, and I read, which one's the first one? The first one is The Murders of Molly Southbourne, and the second one is The Survival of Molly Southbourne. These are both by Tade Thompson. So the third book is coming out soon. I'm hoping to get my hands on an ARC. When I got these, I was so unsure of like whether or not I'd like them, but they're tour books. They're super small, they're novellas, they're tour books, so I was like, you know what, I'm probably gonna like them because I like pretty much everything Tor puts out, and these were no different. So the first book is about this girl named Molly Southbourne, and she has this thing, it's like a sci-fi kind of twist thing, where every time she bleeds, her blood conjures up a duplicate of her, and she's raised her whole life that if she conjures up a duplicate of her, she has to kill it as soon as possible. And it's a very interesting premise, and I really liked it. It was definitely bloody and fun, and I just had so much fun reading these. I did like the first one more than the second one. I won't get into what the second one is about because that's all spoilers pretty much, but yeah, I gave the first one 5 stars, I believe, and the second one I gave 4 stars. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the third book in the series, and thank you so much, Savvy, for sending me these, because I would not have picked them up on my own. I wouldn't have even really heard about them. So yeah, very good. Highly recommend. Next up, we have a new favorite, and if you've watched my most recent videos, you already know pretty much what it is. But that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Oh my fucking god. This was so stinking cute. I normally don't really read romance, especially like the kind of rom-com romances that are popular right now. And I would not have picked this up if it weren't, again, for Savvy. When I got this book from Savvy, I was a little worried because I'm like, I don't normally read romance, I'm not sure how I like this, but I freaking loved it. One of my new favorite books of the year, one of my new favorite books of all time. It was just so cute. Like, oh my god. And I'm sure you guys have already heard about this and have probably already read it because it's super popular, especially on Book Talk, I think. But yeah, so this is about a girl who is fake dating a professor at her school. Not her professor, but a professor, and she's like a graduate student, and they're fairly close in age still, so it's not like weird or anything. And they're fake dating, and they don't really like each other in the beginning, but obviously we know where that goes. But yeah, this was super cute. I love when a guy is like simping for a girl. That's my favorite thing ever, and this had all of that, so of course I loved it. Obviously I gave this 5 stars. I don't think I needed to tell you that, but yeah, I just adored this. Next up, I read a book that I've been wanting to read for a while, and I actually listened to the audiobook of it, and that is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. I was a big John Green fan back in middle school, high school, and I really wanted to read this. I had no clue what it was about going into it, but it is a collection of just thoughts, I guess, short thoughts, and it's really fascinating. It's just like little things that make you think, and I really liked that. I think it was a nice, easy read, or listen rather. I do highly recommend the audiobook. It is read by John Green himself, so yeah, I did really enjoy it, and it was just fascinating. Next up, I read We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. I've been wanting to read another Grady Hendrix book since I read, what one is it? The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I really liked that one, and I knew I wanted to read this one because it deals with metal music and like that kind of scene, and I love like band books, so I knew I wanted to read this one. And this is so freaking weird. It's definitely paranormal. The main character is a girl who was the lead guitar. I think she was the guitarist and lead singer of her band, and in the very beginning of the book we come to understand that this band has broken up. Some bad things went down, and it's kind of following the main character's life as she's like 35, kind of going through life now, and she comes to some revelations about this band and what really happened, and there's a whole big thing. Like I said, it's paranormal, and it almost has like a cult feeling to it. I really liked it. I did give it 4.5 stars. I think some parts were a little too like out there and a little too over the top, but overall I really liked it. And if you're also a fan of like band books and like maybe metal, rock and roll, stuff like that, then you'd probably like this one as well. Okay, next up we have another 2 books that are part of a series that I read, and it is windy. The first book is Every Heart a Doorway, and I skipped the second book and went to the third book, Beneath the Sugar Sky. These are by Shonda McGuire. So the reason I skipped the second book is because these were a reread for me, and I've reread the second book so many times that I could recite it from like memory. So I just wanted to kind of get a feel for the storyline again, and so I reread these ones. The next book in the series is coming out in January, so I have an arc of it and I really want to read it, but it continues the storyline, so I need to like refresh myself. So I reread these 2. I will be rereading more of the series. These are just the 2 that I read last month, and I loved them. Every Heart a Doorway is a 5-star read. every time I read it. It's incredible. It's fantastic. It follows a school for wayward children, which basically means these children went to another universe, kind of think Narnia or Alice in Wonderland, and they come back to our world, and their parents don't believe them and think they're crazy, and so most of them are sent to Eleanor West's home for wayward children, where they all can kind of talk about their experiences, kind of like a big group therapy place. And parents don't know this though, so yeah. Every Heart a Doy is incredible. Beneath the Sugar Sky, actually I've heard a lot of people talk about how this is their favorite book in the series, but I never realized that this is actually a lot of people's least favorite book. And that's not saying much. By least favorite, I mean they give it 4 stars rather than 5, and that's exactly what I did. It's just not my favorite. I think something about the writing just doesn't flow as well as all the other books, and I don't know. You'd think it would be everybody's favorite because it's literally like a candy land and everything's sweet and fun, but I really wish I could love this as much as the others, but it's just a 4 instead of a 5. So yeah, this continues the storyline of all the wayward children together and hanging out and going on adventures. So yeah, I really like these. I'm very excited to continue the series, and yeah, I think that's all I have to say about them. Good girl. Hi. Hello. 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 Okay, are you done now? Oh, alright. Alright, so the next book I read was actually another Shauna Maguire book, but under a different name. And I finally read Rolling in the Deep by Mira Grant, which is a pen name of Shauna Maguire. And this is the prequel to Into the Drowning Deep, which I have right here. So it's the prequel. It talks about the original boat that never came back. If you don't know what Into the Drowning Deep is about, it's about a boat that goes out to, it's kind of like a mockumentary that they're making to be like, oh, did we discover mermaids? Like, oh wow, mermaids are real, whatever. But turns out they're actually attacked by mermaids and nobody comes back alive. And so Into the Drowning Deep follows another group that is sent out, including one of the original crew's sister, and they're trying to discover what actually happened. And I read the prequel, which follows the original, you know, crew, and it was honestly just as good as Into the Drowning Deep, and it was, I don't want to say it was better, it was better in like I think each book has its pros and cons. I don't know if that makes sense, but Into the Drowning Deep can like really get it fleshed out, and Rolling in the Deep is a novella, so it's pretty short. I think it's like 150, 200 pages. I listened to the audiobook, so I'm not quite sure, but I really liked that it was short and sweet, and especially if you've read Into the Drowning Deep already, you kind of know the whole gist of it, so I really like that Rolling in the Deep didn't, you know, drag everything out again, which I wouldn't have minded, but yeah. So if you want like a short version of it, Rolling in the Deep. If you really want something fleshed out and fun and really gets into the characters, Into the Drowning Deep. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Next, I read The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. This is a dark academia, which I really, really enjoyed. I gave this 4 stars, and it follows, the plot, or the synopsis says it follows a girl whose father is like tracking down this big mystery, but it doesn't follow the girl as much as I thought it would. I mean, it follows her a lot, but not as much as I thought it would. It's told mostly in like letters and stories and stuff, which is very reminiscent of the text that it is going off of, which is Dracula by Bram Stoker, which I love. And basically this big mystery that her dad is trying to uncover is Dracula real? And of course If you know me, you know I like cryptids and all things mythology, so I really like that part of this. My only problem with it was that it did seem to drag at times. It is 500 to 600 pages long, so there's definitely room for dragging on, and it did a couple times, but overall I really liked the story and it was just a lot of fun to read. You can't go wrong with a dark academia that has to do with vampires. I mean, you can't. So yeah, I really like this one. And finally, we have a book that I've been wanting to read for so long, and that is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. So everybody knows what Howl's Moving Castle is. It is a Studio Ghibli movie, and it's about this wizard of sorts that lives in a giant moving castle, and it follows our main character Sophie, who gets cursed by a witch to be old, and she meets Howl in his moving castle, and this was really cute. It was really cute. So I gave it 4 stars. Honestly, it was so freaking cute and I loved it, and it was really magical and fun and a quick read, but I was expecting a lot more from it. I think my hopes were just so high with this one because I loved the movie and I love a good whimsical read, and because it didn't meet those super high hopes, I just kind of didn't like it as much. But I loved it still. I gave it 4 stars, which is still a very good rating, you know, but I had too high of hopes. But it was still really good. So if you like Howl's Moving Castle, the movie, definitely check this one out. It's slightly different, but I still think people will like it. But I don't want to talk too much about this because, you know, everybody knows what Howl's Moving Castle is, so yeah. And that concludes my November wrap up. Let me know what you guys read this month, if you read any of the same books. I am always curious to know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.